And I'd swipe right for you and probably have. Hello, Mark Ramone here with the New Music Alliance and joined today by someone else I'd swipe right on, Mistress Miriam. You just heard the Carleans with Fake News. Before that, Arlo Guthrie, Telephone, and we started off with Sophie Tucker, Some of These Days. I love this song, the Carleans, Fake News, out of East Lyme, Connecticut.
I do too.
Jim Carpenter's got a great way with words. His humor is just wonderful.
Very, very funny. It's a great tune.
So basically, the Carleans are Jim Carpenter and Sarah McLean. Used to be joined by Rachel McLean, her sister, and Rachel recently moved away. And also Karina Malburn is in the band. They're just amazing. I've played their songs before. I love some of the best sibling harmonies I've ever heard. Jim is just doing amazing. I recently had Jim and Sarah down at my college radio show, and we were talking about Jim's writing and his humor. He was inspired by artists such as John Prine and Lyle Lovett, and he noted that it's not as easy to get away with what you could write years ago, but he's still doing it, and I love his clever ways.
I totally hear that John Prine, kind of humor. And this is pretty darn good. You think it's the best you've ever heard?
Some of the best sibling harmonies I've ever heard. Yeah, absolutely. I mean,
And
it's up there on par with
the Greens.
the Indigo Girls.
Oh, well, the Indigo Girls. You
They are the gold bar standard that I judge everything on.
you and I are all over that. I mean, that's it. They are the wow. Okay.
This is off their most recent album, Melodrama, June of last year. And if you listen to some of their earlier works, their earlier albums, you'll hear those harmonies that I'm talking about.
Okay. I'll check it out.
And before that, we had Arlo Guthrie with Telephone from 1979.
We love Arlo Guthrie.
Our Washington, Mass resident, one of my all-time favorite artists. I love this song. One of my most favorite recorded performances was the Arlo Guthrie show. He had Pete Seeger, Jerry Jeff Walker, David Bromberg, Bonnie Raitt, and he sang this song on that show. I love the humor of this one too.
It's very funny. And looking at it from our point of view, he's saying, the telephone's here, the telephone's there, when in fact, today, the telephone is in all those places.
Oh, was so prophetic. I mean, I think they did have like a mobile phone back then that you could put in your car, but it was like the size of
like a brick.
Exactly. And it weighed as much.
Like a mason had to put it into the car.
With a battery the size of the trunk.
Yeah, and it cost a lot, I suppose, to have it, and only the rich had it. And yeah, you see it sometimes on old movies or old television shows. Yeah, they got that in the car, and they are in the limousine, and they.
It's just funny how he talks about back then about being tied down by the telephone and being bothered by people through the telephone. And now it's just a part of it's extension of our bodies now. It's in our hands constantly.
That's exactly what I thought during the whole thing. Yeah. I just thought, if you only knew, Arlo.
He knew. He traveled back in time.
He traveled forward.
Yeah, forward. Speaking of traveling back in time, let's go to 1911, over 100 years ago.
You win. First of all, I have to say, I did not. This is Sophie Tucker.
Yep.
Some of These Days. I did not. I know this artist extremely well. I know this song extremely well. And when I saw it on your playlist, I said, I had no idea that Sophie Tucker came from Hartford, Connecticut.
Yep.
And I knew I'm a huge fan of hers and a fan of this song. And it's when I know that she is from my backyard, basically. Wow.
Yeah. Emigrated to the United States when she was 3. She was born in 1886.
Yes.
Amazing. And it was like
Yes.
Thomas Edison had just invented the phonograph, I think, or something. And this wasn't even on a record, it was on a wax cylinder.
Classic story of the Jewish immigrant, coming here and becoming I guess, the star. And yeah, recording on a wax cylinder. I guess she, recorded into like one of those large trumpet sort of things,
Yeah.
like you'd sing into a
Like the little dog in the RCA logo.
yes, yes. Like the little dog. Someone out there who knows the technical term for that, please.
I bet Violet does.
I think Violet does. But it's quite remarkable. And my hat is off to you, honey. You've set the bar for the oldest song in the history of the New Music Alliance radio
I'll
hour.
keep trying, but I doubt I'll find something else.
Oh man, why bother? This is fantastic.
This song was penned by a then unknown African American songwriter, Shelton Brooks. The song was brought to Sophie Tucker, and she loved it, and it became her theme. And she even wrote an autobiography by the name "Some of These Days."
It's great. It's such a famous song. I've known this song my whole life.
So yeah, I mean, I wasn't familiar with her, but she was an international star of vaudeville, music halls, and later film, performing in both Yiddish and English in a career that spanned 50 years.
She was the real deal. She was a huge star. And and this is it, what we talk about when we talk about American music, especially when you talk about film music, or you talk about jazz, or you talk about musical theater. This music is native to the United States, and that's because of the immigrant.
I'm glad you enjoyed it.
And I'm laughing and I'm crying today. Please swipe left or I'm gonna cry.
Well, we're gonna mellow out now with some chill
Please,
music for you.
please do this.
We're gonna
Please.
go to Michael Roberts, BriezyJane and the Hurricane, and the Moonrise Cartel. So let's go to Michael Roberts with Something Free.